What's up, guys? This is the thing I've been working on. It's just me like every certain day. I gotta figure out what day for sure I want to do it. But listen, react to like scary animations or scary stories and stuff. I'm still not finished with like the whole setup of it. Like that's what I said. Like I don't know what day I'm gonna do it like every day on. 'Cause this supposed to be like a thing where I do like every Monday or like every like Tuesday or Saturday or Sunday. I gotta pick a day for it. So I react to like just watch like scary stories or animations and just you know don't get scared. Just react to them or watch them whatever. And yeah, I'm still not, like I said, I'm still not finished with it, so I have a lot of work I can do with it. I've been putting the work off sometime a little bit because I'm trying not to like do too much when it comes to YouTube because like I got a lot of stuff I need to do for YouTube, so I'm trying to pace myself with doing it. But let's get into it, guys. This one is called "Don't Leave Your Keys Inside Your House." Inside of your house, you got that cool key. And this is, hang on, and this is by Dover Normie. I think that's how you say his name. Animation is by him. The story is by Marta Proke. I don't know. I'll put the names on the screen. Hopefully, I can do that. But it was uploaded by Wansee Entertainment, so I'll put his link in my description, of course. But yeah, let's just get into it. Get it up a bit, and
It was Friday the 13th. I was walking home from my friend's house. It wasn't a long walk, maybe 5 minutes. As I got to my door, I realized I didn't bring my keys when I left my house. I took my cell phone out from my pocket to check the time, and it was 7:30 p.m. My parents usually don't get back home from work until 8:45 p.m. So I decided to walk to my grandparents' house, which is only about a 10-minute walk. As I was walking down the street, I saw a shadow behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. My heart started racing and I started to speed up. Then I saw the shadow again, following. I turned around again. Nobody was there.
It's not funny at
I was
all.
kind of scared at that time, but thankfully I was getting closer to my grandparents' house. I texted my grandma and told her to wait outside the door for me, and she replied with an okay. When I turned the corner, I could see the house and my grandma standing there. I started to feel calm again, like nothing was going to happen to me. But I was wrong. As I was about to cross the road to get to my grandma, I was suddenly pulled into an alleyway. One hand covered over my mouth and another hand was around my body. With such an abrupt attack, I couldn't get my scream out. I looked down and I could see a very dark, black hand with long, pointy black nails. Lots of cuts and scratches were all over his hands. Its face was getting closer to mine, and it smelled like dead bodies. When I looked next to me, I could see a little part of its face. It was pale white with a tint of gray. I could tell that it was not from here. It was something that we should not know. Tears were flowing down my face. After being dragged through the alleyway, I was dropped onto the ground. When I moaned in pain, that creature stood over me, breathing into my face. Now I could clearly see its face. It had big black eyes, a big open smile with pointy white teeth, and a long red pointy nose. I closed my eyes, hoping it was just a dream. However, I felt their hand and nails were starting to dig into my neck, slowly and painfully. I struggled to breathe, but it was impossible. My vision was slowly blurring. And at that moment, someone put their hands on my shoulders. Another put their head on my right shoulder and started to whisper in my ear with a strange voice. So, this is how you end up when you forget your key on Friday the 13th. Then the creature started laughing, and then everything went pitch black and silent. When I opened my eyes again, I heard a bunch of people shouting, "He's back! He's back!" I was lying in a hospital room, and all my family was standing next to me. I looked to the left of me, and there was a woman doing something next to a monitor. I asked her, "Excuse me, why am I here? What happened?" And she responded, "You were found in an alleyway near your grandma's house with scratches and cuts on your neck. As soon as your grandma saw you being pulled into the alley, she immediately ran after you. She found you laying there as pale as paper, with your phone in your hand and blood running from your neck onto the ground. So she called 911.
Damn.
And now you're here."
Choked out and everything. What took you so
Looking her straight in the eye, I was immobilized with terror. I couldn't believe what she was saying, because I couldn't remember what happened to me. And then, when I looked to the right of me on the bedside table, there it was. I could see my house key. This video is sponsored by Skills.
Right. Wow, that was fucking creepy as hell. But yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, grandma, if they were to catch you, there is not much you can do. There's not much you can do to save her. But that was creepy. Like, I mean, I don't know if you have after that same shit happened to me, bro. You feel like someone that you see like a shadow or something, and then there's nobody there, bro. That shit, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. You've had that same bullshit, you know. So you feel like there's someone behind you, and you see like, you know there's someone there, but then you turn around, there's no one there. But that same bullshit, bro. It's not fun at all. But yeah, it's not fun at all. Alright guys, so our next animation is called The Bridge. I'm assuming that's what it's called by there. It was uploaded by Llama Arts, which they're like a really like famous like thing that does all these things. So let's just get into it. I want my plushie, dude. I want the llama plushie.
So this story takes place when I was about 16 years old. At my school, I played for the volleyball team, and every year we would go to a camp and do volunteer work for this guy.
There you go, it got better.
The camp was in the middle of nowhere. When we got to the camp, we immediately started to work until 8 p.m. This was around October, so it was already dark at 8. My two friends and I were sitting around the fire, trying to figure out something we could do so we weren't so bored. We heard that there was a small river down the hill from the camp, and we thought we could check it out. The problem is that it was some guy's property, and the owner of the camp told us to not disturb him since the guy was a little strange. We weren't really supposed to leave the camp, but being 16 years old, we loved breaking the rules. We walked about 10 minutes from the camp and finally reached the river. It was bigger than we expected, and there was a large wooden bridge that crossed it.
The graphics.
The bridge was about 20 feet long and was big enough to let a truck go over it.
Work they put into these.
My two friends and I decided to go under the bridge and check it
I
out.
want to make stuff like this.
As we were walking by the shoreline, we saw two headlights off in the distance moving towards the bridge, so we bolted underneath it and hid.
A lot of work.
We then heard the truck roll over our heads and to the other side. My friends and I chilled there for a while, just talking and throwing rocks in the water. It was about 8:30 at this time, and now it was pretty much pitch black. That's when we started to hear a slow rumble in the distance. The same truck had come back, and this time it was moving much slower. We stayed put under the bridge, stifling our laughter. Eventually, the truck moved over the bridge, but rather than going over to the other side, the truck stopped right on top of us.
These should be scary.
The only thing you could hear was the rushing water and the hum of the engine. Then, the door of the truck swung open, and out came a loud thump on top of the bridge. Then we heard a loud scream saying, "I know you're out there! I'm gonna find you!" I looked at my friends, and they were both property owner, and he seemed pissed that we were on his land. He started screaming and saying he was gonna hurt us if he finds us. could see that he had a flashlight and was swinging it around looking for us. We heard loud thumps as he walked around a little bit, calling out for us, and thank God he never went under the bridge. Eventually, it went silent, and it sounded as if he went back into his truck. I was too terrified to move. We sat there for about 10 minutes, and then my one friend, who we'll call Trevor, whispered in my ear, saying that we have to go. I gave him a quick nod, and in slow motion, we moved out from under the bridge. We started to army crawl on the shoreline of the river, and I remember looking behind me to see the top of the bridge. I saw a white Ford F-150. In the driver's seat was the man, staring right at me with a sinister smile, and he even gave me a little wave. At that moment, I screamed and ran. My friends saw me run and took off after me. I could hear screaming from behind us. I took a quick glance behind me and saw that he was chasing after us, and I couldn't quite make out the object in his hand, but it seemed to be a weapon of some sort. We ran into the forest and ducked behind a bush. It was pitch black in the forest, and we couldn't hear a thing. We sat there for a while, just shaking. The man never walked by us, and we never heard him. After we gathered our courage, we got up and walked back to camp, got into our tents, and tried to fall asleep. The next morning, we talked to the camp owner about the man that owned the property of the river. The camp owner said that he didn't know much about the man, but he knows that he has some mental problems and he'd been accused of assault. I am so happy that we were able to escape from underneath the bridge. I can't imagine what would have happened if he caught us.
Outside again, bro. Alright, so that's it, bro. If that ever happened to me, bro, I would never literally go outside again. No, that's not true, because I've had people with full guns and stuff on me and everything. I have to go outside. But, nah, you definitely know I ain't going to the woods anymore like that. If you just barely escape like that, then, So people who just barely escape stuff like that, nah, the second time it happens, you'd be lucky if you escape again. You would be stupid. I'm not trying to be mean, but you'd be stupid. Like, if you know, like, there's that type of person like that in those woods, like, in that area. If you go back, then you got some balls, then. You go back. Knowing my stupid ass, I would go back. And, like, yo, I would go back. But, takes a lot of friggin' courage, and you gotta have balls to be able to go back after something like that happened. But, hey guys, don't go into the woods alone for sure. Definitely don't go into the woods alone. I feel like the three of them could have took him on. You know, one of y'all might get hurt, one of y'all might get killed, but hey, at least there'd be two to tell the story. Not me. Stop. I'm playing too much. Alright, last one, guys. It's called the bus stop horror story. Again, I apologize now. Like I said, I'm still working on the project. I'm still working on this. Getting it all together and everything. So I need to work on a lot of things. Need to work on editing and stuff. So I got a lot to work on. I really do. But this one's also by Llama Arts. I might just react to theirs. Just do theirs cause they're right here and they have probably, I don't know how many videos you guys, but they got a lot. So just definitely react to them. But yeah, let's get into it. Hopefully it's not loud.
This happened when I was 17 years old. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and ride the bus home. It was a Sunday and I had just missed my bus, so I had to wait longer for another one. I would have called my parents, but they were out for the evening, and taxis charged more, so I decided to sit and wait in the bus shelter. It was a cold night, and snow had just started peppering the ground. My bus was taking longer than usual, so I got my phone out and listened to some music. Almost an hour had passed. It was freezing, and I hadn't seen anyone at all. That was until I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. It was a creepy guy dressed in thick layers of clothing, walking
The
slowly
way his
towards
eyes,
me.
see the way his eyes
I
is
knew
turning
staring
to
at
the
him would
corner?
draw more
That
attention,
was
so I
something
just
like
focused
that.
on my phone. He sat down at the other end of the shelter and just stared at me. There was something off about him. He seemed like he was either drunk or on drugs. He then asked,
What does the boss do?
I took out my earphones and said, I think it's delayed because of the snow. He stared at me for a while, then started
That's hella
mumbling to
creepy.
himself.
I would
He was
leave,
really starting to
bro.
creep me out, so I pretended to be on my phone. After a couple of minutes, I took another look. He moved closer to me. I looked away for a second, then heard the sound of him sliding even closer. I turned to him and said, You okay there? He stared at me with glossy eyes, lifted his arm, and leaned towards me. Immediately, I grabbed my bag and ran as he
That's
fell to the
fucking
ground.
creepy, bro.
I
Yo,
ran down the
don't
road,
touch
trying
me,
my
bro.
hardest not to look back. I
I
kept
don't
going
care. You
until
try
I
to
got
touch
to
me,
the
I'm
next
gonna
bus
start
stop.
swinging, bro. Stop playing. Don't touch
I
me.
turned around to check to see if he
You
was
won't get
there.
far if you try to touch me
He
like
was
that.
gone,
I know
so
that
I
for a
went
whole
to sit
fact. You're not
down.
gonna get far.
Feeling relieved, I rested my head on the back of the glass and waited for the bus.
You dumb goof.
I jolted and turned around to see the same guy staring at me through the glass. What the hell is wrong with you? Then he started walking around the shelter towards me. I'm warning you, stay back! I yelled in panic as I was backing up. I wanted to run, but I left my bag in the shelter and I couldn't leave without it. Suddenly, the man leaped at me and I quickly moved out of the way. He fell to the ground face first. I froze in shock, then noticed the blood coming from his face. I tried to get a response out of him, but nothing worked. I called the police and paramedics, and they arrived shortly after. I told them what had happened, and they told me that the guy was on prescription drugs. They found a photo in his wallet of him and his son. The boy looked just like me, so we assumed he thought I was him. I later learned that he had lost his son in a custody battle and went off the rails. He was taken away for treatment.
Okay, never mind.
That was the
I would've
last I
felt
saw
bad
of him.
after. I would have beat him up.
I got my driver's license
felt
shortly
so bad
after, and have never been on a bus since.
Damn, that's sad. That's sad. Okay, never mind. I feel bad. I'll take that back. I wouldn't hit him. If I would have felt so bad after. Like I would have felt really bad after. If I would have hurt him after just finding that out. I mean, anyone would be freaking like creeped out. Like you see some guys sliding towards you in a bus, like at the bus stop, bro. Like that's creepy. Like just have someone just slide next to you. That's so creepy. I would like, yo, who is you? Well, that's understandable. Um, that's actually sad to be honest. I feel so bad now. So he, like I said, he probably thought it was his son. You see the picture, boy in the picture looked like him. That's just sad. But yeah, that's it, guys. So um, again for the third time, I apologize. No, it's not gonna be the best video. I'm still working on it. Like I said, it'd be easier, better if I had help with it, to work on it and stuff. So yeah, if you like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, of course, tell your family, share it, of course. We're almost at 500. Give us at the rate we're going, we gain like I think about like 50 something subscribers in like what 2 or 3 days. So at that rate, we can get like 50 subscribers like in like 2 or 3 days. I think it's been maybe a few days. And we can definitely get over 1,000 by the end of the year. But what day is this today? The 15th. My goal by July 10th is to get to 600. Let's get to 600, guys. I know for actually not really, cause we gain like 50 in a day. Like we can get that, not in a day. We can get that same amount. Like I think we can gain like 15 like 3 or 4 days. We can maybe two. I don't know. We can keep getting that same amount in that same amount of days. We can definitely probably reach 2,000 by the end of the year. Who knows? But my goal by July 10th get to 600. But again, I hope y'all stay safe. God bless you, all of you, and I'll see you in the next video.